Welcome on back to the Wolverine.com podcast. Clayton Sayfie here with Wright, analyst here at the Wolverine and on 3 high school, college basketball. You know him on Twitter at It's Wright. He's all over the place, all hours of the day, evidently. Up last night talking college basketball with the folks there interacting. So you know him there. Also former Michigan basketball player, of course. So it'll be good to get his insight as we do regularly here on the podcast. And let's start with the game the other day against Rutgers, one of 4 straight home games for Michigan before they go to Ohio State to end the season. But you're with Phil Martelli as your head coach. You have no Moussa Diabate, no Terrence Williams. Rutgers is a team that was hot. I know they had lost to Purdue coming in, but they had 4 straight wins against quality opponents before that after, basically resurrecting their season. Much needed win, I think, for Michigan. Do you feel like something like what happened with Juwan Howard, as weird as it sounds, and not having your head coach could galvanize a team? And is that maybe part of what you saw on Wednesday night?
I did see a focus. I saw a focus. I saw that the guys were playing hard. But the first half, I felt like they were just waiting to get punched in the mouth, kind of. It felt a lot like the Ohio State game for a bit there.
It did.
Where both teams were kind of just like testing each other out for a while. And I feel like in the second half, I felt whoever made the first punch was going to win the game, and that was Michigan. Michigan could never get it from it was always between 6 and 2. It was always a 1-2 possession game for the longest time, and I was like they gotta break this. Like they either got to break 6 or Rutgers was going to take the lead, and I thought whoever did that first was going to win. And Michigan was up 5 with the ball, and I believe they hit a 2. And then all of a sudden you see them get to 9 and then 11 and then 13. And then now they call timeout. Now you feel that Michigan is in a nice spot for the rest of the game. And that's just how important runs are. And I don't think it's like a rah-rah thing around the coach. Like, you're not thinking about that, but you do have a sense of focus that you can come into the game with. And I think all the guys had that for sure.
Yeah, and Phil Martelli said he's a little bit worried about having that initial spark and then, things potentially dying down and, kind of having a letdown. So they're trying to guard against that. I think it's good that they're recognizing that's a distinct possibility. But I think they're going to be up for Illinois for sure. That is a game, and finally Michigan at full strength for that game that I think they're going to be excited for. We'll talk about the Illini in a second, but you mentioned that. So, it was kind of like the Ohio State game where it was tight. Michigan kind of had the lead, but they couldn't and they've been not great at this all season, like stepping on a team's throat and really taking advantage of when another team's not playing particularly well. Then they did that. Caleb Houston hits the back-to-back threes to bring it out to 6 when it was tied up. Michigan never trailed from that point on. Later in the first half, midway through, Kobe Bufkin finally hits a 3, and that brought it out to 10, I believe, at that point. So you got some big contributions. I want to ask you about Kobe in a second, but Caleb Houston, he's shooting over 46% from 3 now at home, which is crazy, 28% on the road. Did you play with anybody that kind of had that type of thing? I mean, and what's the difference? I know you're more comfortable. These are the rims. These are the sight lines that you're getting at home. It's a friendly crowd and things like that. But I guess just take me through how big of a difference that is shooting at home versus the road, especially in a place like the Big Ten where those road environments are super tough.
Some guys are weird. Hold on. Some guys are weird. Because as soon as you said the home and away thing, I never had a teammate that did the home and away thing like that. It was flipped. I remember Lavelle Lucas Perry. I believe he was 17% at home, but then on the road he was in the 40s. And Coach Beeline would just be so irritated about that.
Oh, I'm sure he would hate that.
I remember he missed an open three at home, and then he's just like walking down the sideline. That he's just like, that mother effer shoots 17% at home, 40% on the road. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. He's just so mad about it. But I mean, it's just if you have a good feel for the ball, the lighting, um, just the background depth. I mean like that does you wonders. Like wherever we played with the Nike ball, I shot the ball well. If there was like a not like a Adidas, but like an off-brand basketball, like it was like a coin flip. You know what I mean? But some basketballs feel better than others. I love the Spalding T1000, TF1000, I believe it's called. That's the best basketball there is. Then the Nike Elite, it's right there behind it.
What about a
But
Wilson Evolution?
if you have baby hands, you love the Wilson Evolution.
I love a Wilson Evolution. My hands are
You-
average, very average size.
Very average. It's like I have big hands, so
Yeah.
I don't need that extra squishy grip. It's just all bad. It's like I'm shooting one of those stress balls, because they feel okay growing up, but once you shoot with the more firm basketballs, it's very hard to go back. You shoot the ball and the ball's squishing on the rim. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. But I it, it it all depends on the person, you know. Like my thing was the Nike basketball. For him, it just could be the lighting and how he likes Chrysler, and he's just not adapting to how it is in a court for the first time he's going to. Um, so yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's just a mental thing at that point,
Yeah.
especially if it comes to light. Like you're on the road, you're like, oh, I'm shooting 27%. Oh man, got to be super focused. Now you're not just doing your routine stuff.
Right. Yeah. I wonder. I wonder if he's totally aware of that. I mean, I'm sure he's kind of known that he's been better at home, but now I feel like it's after the going, hitting 5, that really brings it up, and then now it's kind of a thing. I feel like people have been talking about over the last couple of days, so that it's interesting. But
Yeah.
and then I wanted to ask you about Kobe Bufkin because he played 20 or 21 minutes the other night. He, scored 5 points only, but I mean, 5 for Michigan from the bench is like 10 for any other team
Yeah.
because they don't get that. So if you can get 5 from one guy that really hasn't been contributing a ton on the offensive end, that's huge. But it wasn't just the 2 shots he made. He had a nice drive and layup. He had the 3 that we talked about, kind of pull up 3 with, I think, 24 seconds left on the shot clock, where you're thinking, okay. And Martelli said he thought it was a good shot. But he was playing good defense, I thought. He was not trying to do too much on offense. We've seen him and Frankie, I feel like, at times try to force the issue a little bit too much. It's like when nothing's there, just pass it back out or swing the ball. And he was kind of doing that, and they needed that in that game when you have no Musa, no Terrence. The rotation was weird. They were going small, which I didn't hate, and I know that's something we've talked about on this pod where Caleb at the 4. What have you seen from Kobe? Because it's kind of a trend the last 3-4 games, I feel like, for him that he's not necessarily hitting all these shots, and they need him to hit some of those open ones when he's in. But he's playable now. On defense, he is, being able to just kind of be a flow guy. I remember John Beilein talking about how Cam Chapman, when he wasn't playing much, he could trust him, though, when they needed a guy to come in because he would just let the offense flow. He wouldn't try to, he wouldn't stagnate anything. I feel like Kobe's turning into a guy like that. And then next year he'll take a big jump. But I guess what have you seen from Bufkin lately?
His focus the last 3 games have been very, very good. And I talked to guys about this, like even the second half against Wisconsin. I feel that, even though he was missing layups and even though he was he didn't really shoot the ball well, his energy and his focus, even in that second half, being able to, drive at the right times, being able to still probe your game offensively was very good. I thought his defense on Mulcahy and against Rutgers is part of the reason why Michigan won that game. Like Paul Mulcahy has been their guy in the last 6 games. Like they've been beating these ranked teams because of Paul Mulcahy. Mulcahy came in averaging like 17 over the last 6, I believe. Um, and when that happens, and you have a freshman on you, Mulcahy tried to post him up pretty much every time, and he was not having it. And that's a big growth thing because I think earlier he was kind of unplayable because of his defense, whether it's on the ball, off the ball. In transition, he was guarding like someone who was already being guarded. He's grown a lot this year, and he's playing well at the right time when the team needs him, especially when your competition left in Zeb Jackson. So now that big guard spot is now yours, and now he's able to come in at the 2 or the 3. And if he continues to play well, what's going to happen is he's going to be able to get more rest for Hunter, possibly pushing Caleb down to the 4 because he demands more minutes, and then having Musa play some at the 5. And if they can get by with that, they'll be able to have Hunter finish games a lot better because he's now playing 35 minutes. He's now down to about 30, 31. And those 4 minutes of like actual play is huge when it comes to a big who has to finish with his legs and really battle down low for rebounds on both ends.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, especially with this stretch coming up. It's going to be 4 games in 8 days again, and Michigan didn't handle that as well. I mean, they picked up the huge win against Purdue, but then we just didn't quite see the level of energy or shot making in legs against Ohio State to cap off that first time when they had a rescheduled game in there. Hunter Dickinson during that stretch was 15 of 40 on 2-pointers. And I know he was kind of dealing with something. He looks healthier now, but he had to play 39 the other night. So I think that's a great point. And now that Kobe is playable there, and he's been a little inconsistent, so you gotta see it going forward. But now that you trust him a little bit more, and you don't trust Brandon Johns, then as you said, you could go smaller, and that kind of kicks Brandon's minutes down. Which right now, I've been a B Johns guy for years, but he just 3 turnovers in a game when all you needed to do was just come in and play steady, do what Bufkin did, like just run the offense. He tried going between behind the back or whatever and driving down the lane when he could have just swung it and just keep things flowing. So that's huge. I think that Kobe's stepping up, and if you can get anything out of Brandon down the stretch, that'll help too.
For sure. And that was huge by the staff. I mean, they went to Kobe over the veteran, and they didn't default to Brandon. And, I think that's a big step in trust. You know what I mean? And that was an opportunity for Kobe to show that he can handle that. And he did handle that. And that goes a long way. That goes a really long way. The coaches remember that. The staff remembers that. He remembers that too. So, like, when you know that a coaching staff trusts you, that pushes your game to an even another level, possibly coming up against an Illinois team where you're going to need it because these perimeter guys – they are like Doberman pinchers, man. They are all over you. When he talk about Trent Frazier, DeMonte Williams, Grandison, like these guys love playing defense. They love interrupting and disrupting. What's Kobe going to do with 7 or 8 seconds left on the shot clock, and he's got Trent Frazier on him? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to make the right play? Are you going to be able to use your size? Are you going to be able to make the right pass? Go through your progression still, no matter who's guarding you. So I thought that was a huge mental win for Kobe more than anything else.
Yeah, and the guys, as you mentioned, he's going to be playing against on Sunday. All their starters are 5th-year seniors, other than a junior Kofi Coburn, who, if you get past one of those 5th-year seniors, is going to be defending the rim, which is going to be tough. But I've liked Kobe, like the way he's finished around the rim has been pretty good. Even when he struggled earlier in the year, he had a couple nice finishes, some nifty ones. He goes up pretty strong, and once I think he gains some strength, he's going to be a big-time player for Michigan. I thought he was going to be that before the year. Was a little disappointed with the way he played at the beginning, but I think hopes are high for him going forward. And hopefully he can contribute for them at the end of this season here. Let's talk
Frankie?
Yeah, let's talk about Frankie. He had put a little English on that layup.
Right. He's had a rough couple weeks. He's had a rough couple weeks, And like he came in dialed in that game too, and I thought that was huge for him and
Yes.
huge for his confidence. Being able to sit Devontae without worrying about the offense now no longer executing was huge, and he gives you a different type of point guard as well. Devontae's more of like the old man's game, and Frankie's more like the new man's game, right? And other teams are going to have to adjust to that. Um, you know, I just need Frankie to understand like his athleticism, like we've seen it for a long, long time. I love the fact that he got 4 rebounds. I'm like, do that all the time.
He can get
Like
up,
all the
man,
time.
on
You could
those.
get up, man. His arm is like here on the rim, like every single time, every single time. Like yo, look, they're gonna need your help rebounding. And you could do that offensively if it's at the right time because you got to get back on D. But there are going to be times where like, hey, look, he gets a big tip dunk and it can change the whole game. But I love the rebounds. He had limited turnovers, I believe, and he pushed the ball when he should have and slowed it up when he should have, and he worked very well against that trap and that press when Rutgers was trying to get back in it. And he did a great job working alongside Eli with that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was holding my breath a little bit when he was in with Jace at the same time, and I was holding my breath when him and Kobe were in at the same time. I was like, okay, this better work, and it did. Frankie he was a +8, which was the third highest on Michigan's team, and as you said, he was part of that stretch there when they really extended the lead midway through the second half. Devontae, I believe, only played 31 minutes, which we say only for this Michigan team, but that's pretty low. I mean, I don't have it pulled up, but if you pulled up he's been getting more rest than the rest of the guys, and Martelli talked about that even before, or like that was like last week. He was saying how the biggest thing with Devontae earlier in the year is he was tired, and they were playing him, and he was just gassed at times because he didn't take the summer seriously enough. And now he's at this spot, and he said we're going to play him till exhaustion, and then he's going to come out, and once he's ready to come back in, he's going to come back in. And when he gets hit out there on the floor, he's going to fall down and sit there for 20 seconds. He's going to get back up and keep playing. But no, he's playing at a great level. And you mentioned Frankie. I think that's a good point too. He gave them a big spark there in that second half. Let's talk about Illinois. Oh, go ahead.
Last point.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten like this like twice now, where someone has said that, why didn't we get this guard over Devontae? Why didn't we get this guard over Devontae? When you say this, make sure you've watched that other guard that you're suggesting at least 5 games.
Fair.
Like at least 5 games, and then look at their numbers as well. Because I've been suggested 2 guards so far that if they played at Michigan with those numbers and the way that they played, like the slander would be at an all-time high for them. And then they'll be asking, why didn't you get this other guy?
Why didn't they get Devontae Jones?
Right. Why didn't we get Devontae Jones? He's so good for so-and-so. He rebounded.
He was the Sun Belt Player of the Year.
He almost had a triple-double last game.
Right.
He's flirted with it like twice.
Yeah.
And I just want him to get one because I said it prior to the season. I was like, yo, don't be surprised if he gets one. So I need it for my narrative for him to get one for sure.
I love it. Yeah, no, his rebounding's great, and it's allowed them to get out and push Iowa. They finally got out and transition a little bit. Let's talk about Illinois, but before we do, I just want to mention Manscaped, our great sponsors. March Madness is almost here. Not everyone can have a perfect bracket, but you can have a perfect set of balls this tournament season with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched their Ultra Premium collection to give you the total championship hygiene routine. After sweating out the games, make sure you lather up head to toe with this all-in-one skin and hair kit to have your body and balls smelling Final Four fresh. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code 20GOBLUE, 20GOBLUE, which gives you 20% off and free shipping. This is a Cinderella story you're not going to want to miss. Ant, you got the email the other day. This is your first package from Manscaped coming. Are you excited to be a part of this thing and get your products all set up?
I am very excited, man. I'm about to have like two of the smoothest Wilson evolutions that you've ever seen in your life.
There you have it. So 20 Go Blue is the promo code there, 20GOBLUE, 20% off and free shipping. So go and do that right now. Support our great sponsors, Manscaped. Let's talk Illinois. You mentioned them. I mean, this is a veteran team. This is a team that has given Michigan trouble during the Juwan Howard era. It's also a team that's lost 3 out of 5, including to Rutgers, including last night to Ohio State, even though they almost came back. Brad Underwood ejected. That seemed to inject a little bit of life in that team. But looking through some of the numbers and having watched a few of those games over that stretch, like their defense doesn't look as good. And I know teams are hitting shots against them lately, which is surprising because that's really what's given Michigan fits, especially in this matchup, is that they make you play one-on-one. Kofi's at the rim. You know, it just kind of throws you off of what you're trying to do. So I guess just what have you seen from Illinois lately? And, you know, is this something where they're kind of trending down, or is this just a couple games? Everyone has these blips on the Big Ten, you know, on the radar of the Big Ten.
I mean, look, they are going to be a tough team no matter what. And I say that especially for Michigan because Michigan has a matchup issue with them because of how they want to play. And when they play through Hunter, Illinois is one of those teams who don't need to double team because Kofi is like 7% body fat, 7 feet tall, 300 pounds.
He's a monster. I don't know how he's a real person.
And he could move his feet very well. So it's but Kofi hasn't played Hunter this year, and one of Kofi's biggest weaknesses is guarding the pick and pop. So Hunter hasn't been shooting the 3 great in the last couple games, but this is one of those games where he needs to play like he did against Purdue in the first game.
Yep.
Where I'm not saying you're going to be jump shot happy, but get a really nice balance mix where you are doing pick and rolls hard, pick and pops hard, maybe even like a little like mid roll just to see what Kofi does. But when it comes to pop situations, you had like Dean Reiber from Rutgers giving Kofi the fits, and that's all because he was a more mobile big, right? So they've lost 3 of the last 5. So, but those have been the like good teams. That was at Purdue,
Yep.
Rutgers, who's on fire, and then Ohio State. So, like
at home,
yeah, true. But like Malachi Branham and EJ Liddell are 2 pros. Illinois doesn't have a pro, in my opinion. Do they have guys who can go pro? Possibly. Can Kofi go pro? Possibly. But I'm talking about like Malachi Branham and EJ Liddell are cats who can get to a second contract, in my opinion. I think Malachi Branham is that dude is like a 6'5" Karis LeVert. The way that he plays the game, and
he's moved up to a first rounder now. I think over the last month.
He's 18 years old. He doesn't turn 19 until May 13th. I want to say. Till May, I want to say.
Jeez.
For those who think that's creepy, I talk to NBA draft people. I talk to like 50 or 60 of them every single game. Like, all right, so I'm looking at the draft thing now. The last message was projecting him at that weight does speak to his high upside, though. Like, this is how they talk the whole. So they talk about that about a bunch of prospects. I believe that was about Zion Cruz. But we talked about Malachi Branham last night, and we thought about Malachi Branham this morning, and that dude is a pro's pro, and Michigan doesn't have anybody like that. They were able to play ISO. Like EJ Liddell, Malachi Branham, those are ISO cats. Like that's where they live, is on an island to play ISO. When it comes to Michigan, they don't have that. They don't have someone who's, hey, go ISO right quick, where you see a clear advantage. I'm not sure who's going to be on Devontae Jones, but I think they put Trent Frazier on Eli Brooks last time.
Yeah.
I think Devontae has to abuse his matchup. I think he's going to be guarded by Plummer or Williams. Devontae has to be aggressive.
Because Eli has struggled against Frazier, and a lot of guys do. I mean, he gets up in you, so that's a tough matchup.
Exactly. I think Devontae has to be a little bit more pressing in this game for sure.
I agree, and it's tough though because one of the best things he does is he gets downhill. And when he finishes at the rim, he usually gets there quick enough where no one else is there. Kofi's probably going to be there, and he gets blocked a lot when a guy's there. He doesn't have the ups, that Frankie Collins has, or anything like that. So it's going to be tough. And if they go under screens on Devontae, he's one of his last 16 from three. He's got to.
It's worse than that if you extend it even more. It's like 3 for like 20, like mid-20s.
Okay, because Going back before that, I think he hit 2, but yeah, it might have been like 2 of 5 or 6, and then
it's been crazy. Not good
because he was improving. He was when teams were going under those after the Minnesota game when they did it. Yeah, the Minnesota game they did it, and he just wasn't shooting them, and it was like, well, this offense isn't going to work if you're not going to take what they're giving you. But then he started doing it and started hitting some of those, which he can when he's set. But now we're not seeing it anymore, and he's not shooting some. The offense has gotten a lot better, but I think that's an aspect that they still need him to be able to take advantage of. Let's finish with you got anything else, Illinois-wise?
Illinois-wise, I don't have anything really when it comes to Illinois. Outside of the fact that like they're going to be ready to play this game, they always are.
Yes. It's a rivalry according to them. Yeah.
Yeah, they hate Michigan. They've lost twice in a row, twice now. Marquette, Cincinnati early, and Purdue, Maryland. That game at Maryland is weird. Like that, they got blown out in that game.
I know. It feels like a year ago.
I don't think they had Kofi. I'm not sure if they had Kofi, but that was weird. That was a weird game. But losing 3 of their last 5 when you pretty much have like at least a Big Ten share in your hand, right? To lose 3 of the last 5 is brutal. Absolutely brutal. Giving them a loss here, not gonna lie. It will be a fun day on social media. It'll be a fun day.
I know you have a good back and forth with the Illinois fans, so
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Never ever cross the line, but
for sure.
We pick fun at each other and we have a good time.
I'll say this, whatever team loses and has to tweet the final score graphic, that the replies to that tweet are going to be crazy either way. I think people are already starting to prepare. People are already starting to prepare what they're going to be, what memes they're going to use and stuff like that. Sure. I love that. Michigan, they got the better of everybody last year except Illinois because they were winning so much, and that kind of became a thing, I feel like, in the Big Ten. I want to finish with my Big Ten power rankings that I kind of thought about yesterday. It took me about 10 minutes, so I don't want to say I put too much thought into it if anything's just crazy off here, but I want to get your reaction to what I have here. And when I was doing this yesterday, I left the Ohio State-Illinois game as, kind of a contingent. So Purdue at the top, Ohio State now in the 2 spot, Illinois 3, Wisconsin 4, Iowa 5, Michigan 6, Rutgers 7, Michigan State 8, Maryland 9, but I would knock them down now after they lost to Indiana. Then I had Penn State, Minnesota, Indiana, Nebraska. I'd move Indiana up because they finally won a game, but the bottom's tougher to do. Because
They're
it's
all
like
the same
they're
at the
losing
bottom,
all the
really.
time, and then they beat like one of the other bad teams. So I guess you throw them ahead of
Yeah.
whoever. But yeah, I guess just your thoughts on how things are trending, and that kind of proves to me Michigan's playing some pretty good ball now. They're in the top 6. You could argue 5 maybe in the Big Ten, even though they're 8th in the standings. And but man, if they win, some of these games down the stretch, they could end up getting a double bye in the Big Ten tournament, which is crazy to think about. The
Yeah.
last time when Michigan was playing Illinois.
Yeah, so the teams that they're tied with, they play again too. So they're
Right.
tied at 9-7 against Iowa.
Yep.
Thank you. Against Iowa and against Michigan State. And getting both those guys at home is going to be big. But yeah, they can really slide into that 6th spot. But I want to get who plays, because I think Wisconsin's going to end up like as the 4. And what do they have to be to play at 4? Is it a 5? They got to get to the 5 seed, right? I don't know if they can get there
to play Wisconsin. Yeah, so the 5 then plays the winner of the 12-13, and then winner of that plays the 4.
Okay. Because I think it's going to come down to Walker. I think it's going to come down to Purdue Wisconsin's game because I believe they play, and that game is at Wisconsin. Because the first game was at Purdue
on Tuesday night.
Went off for 37. Yeah, that's gonna be a huge game. I think that's gonna tell us who's gonna win the Big Ten outright or at least get a share. It's gonna be a huge game. I can't wait for that one. I will be changing my Abby back to black and gold for that game. I'm just gonna say. But you know what? You're not far off with your rankings, and funny enough, that just shows you how good. It kind of shows you how good of a job Greg Gard has done at Wisconsin, honestly. Because outside of Michigan, that was my top 3. It was going to be Purdue, Ohio State, Illinois were my top teams outside of Michigan.
Yep.
And seeing how things are kind of coming together.
They've assumed one of those spots. Yeah.
Yeah, where I pretty much said that, hey, Michigan State is, in my opinion, more so Indiana than Purdue, Illinois, and that's kind of what's kind of came to fruition here. But I think this year, outside of a couple of anomalies, pretty much went the way that everyone pretty much thought it would. I think Minnesota played much better basketball than people thought. I think they would have been more in that Nebraska range, but Nebraska is super bad. Then I saw that it was reported Hoiberg's coming back, so good for him.
They're never going to fire a coach, I think.
I don't know why they let go of Tim Miles.
He took a pay cut. Yeah, I know. I like Tim Miles.
And I think he understood Nebraska.
Yes.
That's the thing. Not every coach understands their situation. Tim Miles was not one of those guys. Tim Miles understood Nebraska. He got Nebraska back to the tournament. Nebraska is the only high major school to never win a tournament game. And you fire him, the one who understands your program, the one who flipped your program.
Yep.
The one who had they were top 5 in the conference. You got Teran Petaway and you got some really badass transfers, man. Man, I saw it the other day. He had this one guy, I think his name's James Palmer or something Palmer Jr. and he was averaging like 20 a game and killing, and like that team did really well. And that was the team that beat Michigan by like 20, and then their fans are going to put that on their resume for the rest of their
And then
lives.
Michigan beat them in the Big Ten tournament, right?
By 19, yep.
Because Michigan hadn't seen switching. And once Beeline saw it, though, the switching defense, really no one had done it to him all year. Once he saw it, boom, exposed him in the Big Ten tournament. But I completely agree. What is Nebraska doing? They're going to be the first team to finish 1-19 in Big Ten play, it looks like. Which is under Fred Hoiberg.
He's still not Georgetown.
Georgetown is going to be winless, right?
They're 0-16. They're 0-16. They've got 4 games left, or 2.
He's
but
done.
They are in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Georgetown is in absolute trouble. Then you have Oregon State. They've won 3 games all year.
That's 3. Insane. And they were a tournament. They made the Sweet 16, right?
Yes.
Or Elite 8? Sweet 16.
Elite 8.
Elite 8. Yeah, so teams be, I don't know, man. Patrick Ewing for Georgetown, it's like they had that run in the Big East tournament, but that was probably not indicative of the rest of his tenure. If you look at his record outside of that run, it's crazy.
It's bad. I think he was like 19-14 one year, but I mean, just oh my goodness, like he has been abysmal. And right now, I got to go back and I got to check their last few games, because that was one thing I haven't done yet. 6-21. Their last 3. Oh my goodness, they're not going to win. Ain't no way. They play at home against UConn, ranked UConn.
Loss.
They go to Seton Hall.
Loss.
They go to Xavier.
L.
Do you see a win?
No.
I don't see a win. They haven't won in 71 days. They haven't won since playing Howard on December 15th.
Did you tweet that the other day? I saw that.
Yesterday I did. Yes,
okay, so
now it's 72 days actually.
Okay.
They only have one high major win. That was against Syracuse, and Syracuse is abysmal this year. That San Diego State team that Michigan beat by 14, they lost to by, I believe, 17.
Jeez.
They lost to Dartmouth 69-60. I think that set everything off. Yeah. That set everything off. But yeah, his contract is weird because I think he got extended.
Hoiberg?
I think he got extended.
Or Ewing?
Pat Ewing.
Okay.
But they were bad. And then Oregon State, like that guy pretty much saves his job by like luckily winning a few games late because the Pac-12, even though they did well in the tournament, like they weren't very good last year.
Right.
And then you have 3 total games. Oregon State has won 3 total games. Do you know how hard that is? Like you almost have to like try not to win those games.
Right.
And
they're bye games.
And I think they won. I think they won one. I think they won one Pac-12 game. One Pac-12 game, and that's it.
It's crazy.
I do know it's getting late, though. I do know it's getting late, but yeah, they've lost. Oregon State lost to Samford, Princeton, Tulsa, UC Davis, Nichols. I mean, they are down bad. Like they are down bad. They may be able to split against Washington State because they're playing back to back on February 28th and on March 3rd. Games like that are the ones that you can steal, right? Because you play them so close. They might steal one of those.
It's like the Michigan Purdue thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well,
Exactly.
we got to end it there. I got to hop on with Sadi Washington here on his Zoom press conference. But there's your Pac-12 talk. There's your Big East talk, talking about the two worst teams in the high majors.
I am knee deep in everything. I got
That's why he's worth a follow, because you keep me up to date on the rest of the college basketball world. So follow Ant at It's Ant Wright on Twitter. Support our sponsors, Manscaped, and we will see everyone next time.
Smooth evolution balls, baby.